Hey, you guys, welcome. I am Sonia Tompkins, and today I want to share with you my best tips on picking a physical location for your business. Now, for those of you who are watching me live, as I talk, if you have some questions or comments on what I'm talking about, feel free to just drop them in the comment box. And for those of you who are catching the replay of this, make sure you hit hashtag replay in the comments and still leave your questions if you have any in your comments below, because I do go through and watch and look for the comments later, and I want to make sure that I'm answering your questions if you have any. So if you've not seen me live before, I am again Sonia Tompkins, and I am a strategist and business coach for brick and mortar business owners. And today let's talk about location, right? We all know that, we've heard that, we know it's important, but what exactly should you be looking for with your location? So I'm going to tell you in my 3 best tips for that. I have notes, so I'm going to be looking at those periodically. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that I want to tell you, my big and best tip that you need to know, is to never, ever pick a location solely on the price of that location. All right. A lot of people do this. They're like, hey, I found this space, or I was offered a space in a mall or whatever, and my rent is dirt cheap, or my rent is free. It's just off of commissions or what have you. It doesn't really matter. Here's the thing. The price usually is, it should be, at least, the price for a space or location should be based upon the visibility of it. Is it in a popular destination? Things like that. So if someone is offering you dirt cheap rent, or if you've negotiated your rent to a dirt cheap price, thinking that you've gotten a deal, but it's in a very bad location for your specific type of business, it's not going to do you any good, you guys. Free is not great if you can't make any money either. Does that make sense? So again, it doesn't matter if it's a standalone building, if you're talking about a space in a mall, a kiosk, even if you're doing a pop-up type of shop or event. Do not pick your location just off of the price, okay? Make sure that it's going to be an area, a location, a destination that will attract the type of customers or clients that you need to build a sustainable business and provide income for yourself and your family. All right, tip number 2. Are you guys doing okay? All right, so tip number 2 is, as I mentioned in tip number 1, your pricing should be kind of in alignment with the visibility. A renter, a leasing office, they know if their location, or if this area is prime, if it's prime, like everybody's here, everybody wants it. They also know if this is a dead area, if it's slow. So what do I mean when I say look for high visibility? Be in a place that's highly visible. So if we're talking about a physical standalone space, a brick and mortar, so a storefront, something in a shopping plaza, is it highly visible? If I was to drive by, could I see this place? Would I notice it? Is it on a super congested street or area where you just become one of 10,000? That's going to be a little harder for you to stand out, okay? But so those are some things to consider first. And then within that, make sure your individual space, again, if we're talking about standalone storefronts that are outside, make sure you have things like windows, as much natural light or windows as possible, even if it's just a glass door. That's super important, you guys. You want that visibility. You want people to be able to walk by or drive by and see your space. You want people to be able to see inside. Many a times I've driven by places of business, in particular restaurants, salons, things like that, and the windows are blocked, the curtains are closed, or they don't have those types of things. What makes me want to go into a boutique that has no windows? I can't see what you're selling. I don't know if is this the kind of stuff I would like or not like. And on the flip side, how many of you have gone into a store because you saw something in the window that attracted you, right? So you want to look for high visibility things like windows, a lot of glass, things where people can notice you, or really large signage that would help you stand out in those congested areas. Lit signs that are not amongst 10,000 other lit signs, because then you just blend in. You're just another space that has a sign that's lit up. It just blends in. It's not standing out. All right. So that's tip number 2. And by the way, you guys, if you want to know more about what I do and get more tips and information on how to grow your brick and mortar business, head over to my website after you watch this at brickandmortarmaven.com. All right. So tip number 3, and again, it runs right off of tip number 2. Well, before I get to tip number 3, I did want to mention, for those of you who are renting or looking at spaces, maybe let's say inside of a mall or something like that, when we talk high visibility, do not let them talk you into, oh, well, this is we're putting you right near an anchor store, so that's a high traffic area, or it's near an entrance. Okay, you guys, there are different entrances in malls. Some entrances are near what they call anchor stores that are going to be really, really popular. Trust me, those areas are not dirt cheap or commission or sales based only areas. So if they're giving you that spiel, beware. I'm letting you know right now. And then 2, it's up to you to do your due diligence to understand who your ideal customer is, what your market is, who your clients are, what they want to buy, and know that you should be situated in an area where there are other like businesses or stores for them, okay? And this goes for if you're in someplace like a mall or a shopping plaza, or if you're standalone. A lot of people think, I want to go somewhere where there are no other tie stores, right? If you're selling ties, I want to be somewhere where there's no tie stores and there's nothing men's wear anywhere, you know, so I'm gonna do great because there's nothing like that here. Well, actually, it would actually do better for you if you were in a location that had other things that would attract a man who wears ties. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't mean he has to sell exactly what you're selling, but are there other businesses or stores or places of business, so eateries or what have you, that would attract a man that wears ties on a regular basis? Because if the answer is yes, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be selling your men's ties in an area where there's like a dog rescue shelter and 2 puppy boutiques and then a dog bakery and a nightclub for 20-year-olds. Probably not going to be the best area, even if the rent is really, really inexpensive for your business where you focus on and target men who wear ties and you sell ties. All right. All right. So let's move to tip number 3. When we talk about visibility too, let's talk about the standalone store and the locations. Being on a busy street is great as long as you are positioned on that street at a place where there is an intersection, so a signal light or a stop sign. So at some point throughout the day, if this is someone's regular route, there's going to be a reason where they're going to stop or have to stop and possibly see your business. All right. If you're on one of those like bypasses or something like that, and there's not really any reason for a person to stop, and it's a pretty busy street or bypass, and the speed limit is like 45, 50, let me just tell you, it's going to be a little harder for you to be visible in that area, okay? Because the flow of traffic is just so fast. Whereas if you're positioned on that busy street or that bypass, but you're near the intersection where there's going to be a stop signal or a stop sign, now you've created, now there's a reason why people will slow down and stop. And while they're stopping, if they're not looking at their phone, right? I mean, it's 2018, but they're stopped. They're going to be looking, seeing what's around, and that's where you can garner their attention through having the proper visibility, okay? The other thing is looking for areas or a location that has a good amount of walking traffic. That's even better than high vehicle traffic, because now that people are walking, when they walk by that location, again, if it's got high visibility markers like huge display windows, a glass door, something that draws, and the displays are right, and there's something that draws a person's eye, now they're going to take their time to look in to see what you have. This is again why I know some people, whether it's their own personal privacy, their own feelings on, feeling like they're on display all the time, people don't want to have their display windows or windows open or brightly lit, you guys, it's actually the opposite. You want that type of attention because that's what's going to make people stop, look into what you're doing, and decide and hopefully walk through the door, which makes them a prime potential customer, right? So you've got everything working for you to convert that person into a sale versus someone who does not, right? I'm not going into some place of business that's dark, I can't see in, I don't know what I might be walking into. High visibility markers, windows, glass, doorways, and make it inviting, you guys. So any questions right now before I wrap up? Those are my 3 best tips for picking your location. For those of you who are physical-based businesses, doesn't matter if you're retail or service centered, you want to have a location that people can come to visit you, to patronize your business, that's friendly, inviting, and someplace that they can see, you guys. That's huge. Again, I appreciate you guys being here. If you have any questions or comments that I don't get to, or if you're watching the replay, go ahead and put those in the comments section. I will come back and look at those comments and answer any questions accordingly. And that's it, you guys. I am so glad you stayed tuned to watch, and I'll see you next time.